This just in, Multu Islands is getting a remake. Before we jump in, I just want to say thanks to everyone who subscribed to the channel. We just passed the 100 mark, which is a big milestone for me. Alright, let's get into it. First of all, the map will still remain massive, with the biggest difference being we now have 6 objectives instead of 5. Now, instead of everyone focusing on the center objective with a super far run to get there, there's now 2 objectives in the center portion of the map. The map was also redesigned to be more friendly to water vehicles, and will have an underground water cave system, which should be pretty cool. The layout is generally mirrored, but the US does start with a carrier, giving it more air support, and the Russians start on the ground with 2 infantry spawns, and more vehicles. However, the US can still claim more ground vehicles if they capture Alpha, and the Russians can get more helicopters if they capture Bravo, so you really need to fight for these objectives to benefit from them. Finally, the devs mentioned they introduced never seen before foliage, and a lot of hills and valleys to make it more difficult for snipers to take you out while traveling. Lame. But let's dive into each objective. Alright, so for Alpha we have the port, which got a remake, and the US infantry will now spawn closer to it, allowing for faster capture, and reducing the chances of being spawn camped. With containers and coastline barriers, it should make for a fun fight here. There's also some great spots to snipe from, like the lighthouse or crane, but those can be destroyed, so be careful. Bravo is the bunker, which is designed for long and mid-range fighting, and is now more easily to defend, with the objectives being well fortified and strong coastal defenses when being held by the Russians. Charlie is a city, which is meant to resemble a Japanese or Asian style look. It'll have 2 to 3 story buildings and limited windows, small streets, and the ability to jump from roof to roof, which should be fun for infantry fighting. Delta is the village, which will be more vehicle friendly compared to the city. Echo is the power plant, that features windmills like in Valley, so it'll be a go-to spot for Russian snipers, until they're blown up and brought down of course. This factory style setting will be good for medium to close range and vehicle combat. Finally, Foxtrot is Villa, which I'm particularly excited about. It'll have a big mansion with multiple entrances that should be a blast for infantry, as one squad can defend it really well. Other map highlights include a crashed plane in the middle of the map, which now replaces the jungle, since that didn't really fit into the Pacific Island climate the devs are going for. They're hopeful this new redesign of Multu Islands will make this map much more popular than it currently is, but of course they'll be listening and monitoring feedback. But what are your thoughts? Thanks for watching, and if you learned something new, consider subscribing to the channel. Other than that, I'll see you on the battlefield.